So I met with Deeker's mom and him again. Um, the main information that I gathered, I would say the stressors I found are finances, and which I like kind of knew, but as like graduation is approaching, they had some more concerns about, the cost of a gown and the cost or like how they were going to get down there because they don't always have good access to transportation. Um, so that was there, but also just so much love and support too. Um, and I think they both feel pretty confident that they, you know, can do what they need to do. So that's really good and was really good to see. As far as academic progress, Deeker did great on the WIDA, and he has moved up. And I talked about how that WIDA score will go with him to the college level. And grades, he has good grades, and so we're not worried about that either. And then we talked about mostly graduation, like because he's on track with everything. We just talked about what graduation is like because they don't understand the ceremony or anything. So I got him a graduation packet that had all the information. I also sent an email with like the location of graduation and the time. And with his mom, I asked her to write him a letter to give to him on graduation and talked about how like that's a common thing that parents do at our school to support their students. So with that email, I had that information, and I also explained her role and how she'll be able to support Deeker once he is at the college level and he doesn't have me to kind of walk him through it. I introduced them to the um, first year family services that the U of U has. So hopefully they'll be able to um, use that. And I linked that and kind of walked them through the website and all those different things. So that's really good. Yeah, so we got that email. We talked in person. I sent a thank you, and um, it was really good. And I think she clearly understands what she wants to do. Deeker understands what he wants to do next, and they feel good about where they're going. As far as integrating families into my lesson planning, I actually really love this. And I did an entire relationships unit with my seniors on healthy relationships with Pride and Prejudice. And a lot of it is about relationships with your parents or family members. So I incorporated a um, relationship experiment where students, like, we were talking about all the different ways that you can improve a relationship with someone, and we're reading different articles, and I had them choose somebody that they wanted to improve their relationship with and then spend that time with them, and then they kind of reflected together on and wrote an article about healthy relationships. So it was really cool to see students reflecting on their relationships with their family and like learning more about them and getting input from them as well. And I love hearing from their families and seeing the amazing things that their families are doing. And then I can reach back out and be like, hey, like this was so cool. And some of the parents I don't think read the articles. And so some I was like, you got to read this article. It's so good. So there was this whole back and forth with this relationship experiment, is what I called it. It was really cool. Um, so yeah, I think I didn't bring in anyone's particular knowledge like to the whole class, but I had each student accessing the knowledge and skill that their families had, and I learned a lot about the different families' traditions um, and then having them, share in discussion. I think it was really valuable, but it was more one on one than necessarily the whole class. And I feel like I tried to make meaning relevant to parents and families because I'm asking my students to connect with them and to share with them. And it's all about improving relationships with your families, and that is always going to be valuable. So I think that was really helpful. I could be better still about sending specifics home about what we're doing so parents, it's easier for them to ask and engage on their own terms versus me just always having the students initiate something. Um, and this coming in the next, I think 4 weeks, I'm going to assign another thing where they have to interview their parents about a specific topic. And or any family member interview their families, and that'll also increase that two-way, and we'll talk about what we learned from them in class, which I think will be really great. um, I feel like the theory I focused on as I engaged with my student the most with Deeker, I would say, really just um, the microsystem, because he does it totally on his own and he feels completely isolated. So it's really all about building the relationship with him and his mom, because that's what's going to continue, which is why I was like, you need to write him a note for graduation, and here's what you need to do for graduation, and here's how you can support him in college. I'm really just working on their relationships. And that's how this started with my first meeting, where I was could ask, do you want Deeker to go to college? Because he didn't know, because they don't talk, and he doesn't like to ask for help. And anytime I tried to ask about his mom, he was very cagey about it. So that is the main focus, and how that is the support that he needs, even if he doesn't think he does. And she hopefully can feel closer to him, because they're very distant for a lot of reasons over the years, and he wasn't really raised by her. So this can build both of their relationships, I think, and that definitely that's where the biggest jumps and like changes in their attitudes were seen, as they started to open up to each other. And I felt like I was able to help them overcome barriers. I had a translator for both meetings, and I made sure to work around her schedule. She works, so we met like early, like right after school, so that she could still make it to her evening job. And I wrote down a lot of things in email so she can translate it, because she's not super comfortable with that. And hopefully that helps, and that they'll both be able to make it for graduation, and that it can be a great experience for both of them. But it was amazing for me. I was honestly jumping for joy. I was just so happy at the results that I was seeing, and the connection between them, and that we were having a good connection too, and just really hopeful for their future. And I hope he gets into the U, and if not, he gets into UVU, and they'll be able to just be really hopeful going forward.